I think an incredibly important heuristic, which often just gets lost, especially when people kind of develop this social media brain or the political brain or whatever it is I think a useful heuristic and question to constantly ask is just like, is this useful? Like what is useful and what is helpful?
Yeah.
Right. It's even for the people who are like, look, I want to fight this cause. And by the way, this could be for people on any side of the political aisle. I feel the same with some of these, whether people are on these woke left progressives or some of the people who are like.
But even on the right, there's a cancer within the right. We're focusing about calendars and Vivek Ramaswamy having a T-shirt that some people were triggered by. And I'm like, look what the other side is doing.
Useful?
Yeah.
Helpful? Yeah.
Why are we discussing calendars and cringy T-shirts? Like I'm the king of cringy T-shirts. But why? Why are we focusing on this stupid issue? Mike Cernovich made the point a couple weeks ago, saying they're throwing political opposition leaders in prison. We're arguing about calendars. This makes no sense at all. What do you want to focus on? What do you want to build? What do you want to change in this world? There's a lot that needs changing. There's a lot that again should be addressed. There's a lot of information that people don't know that leads them down a pathway where they are being victimized every single day. If you do what you're told, if you follow, and if you circle within the lines, you're essentially building a prison all around yourself that's not going to live a very successful, fruitful, amazing life. You have to question everything in a very good, healthy, skeptical way, and then make adjustments to your life that you're still kind of going in a positive direction, because they want you in a negative direction, and they will get you there either through this path or another path, but their actions, from my kind of larger understanding, and some people say that there's a grander conspiracy here. I believe that that's the case here. Some people say that that's just kind of human nature. I could also understand that argument as well. I believe for my 20 years in this and doing research and talking to a lot of the top kind of people in this, that a lot of this is deliberate. Yes. I think there is a deliberate agenda to make you fat, sick, and dumb, to make you a consumer, to make you pathetic, to make you not have a family, to make you addicted to online short dopamine hits that you get through pleasure centers that you think are benefiting you in the short term, but in reality, these are the larger shackles that are being built around your wrists every single day that you willingly put on yourself. And you could break those shackles at any moment, at any time, was just saying enough is enough. Let's focus on me right here. Let's focus on my life. Let's make sure that I'm a positive impact to this world. Let's make sure that I am morally aligned, that I am thinking of the good things, that I am setting goals, that I'm reaching them, that I'm celebrating them, that I'm enjoying this life. And then once you start doing that, life becomes a lot more worthwhile. It becomes a lot more worth fighting for, more living for. You have a bigger aptitude towards standing up for yourself once you respect yourself.
Absolutely.
The problem is the system all around you makes sure that you disrespect yourself in so many different ways. And the biggest one is short-term pleasures.
Yes.
Not prioritizing hard work, not prioritizing sacrifice, making that something that you should always avoid, when in reality, if you want to have a fruitful, very happy life, you go for the hardest challenges. You find the biggest thing that you could carry, you pick it up and you carry it and you walk with it as much as you can. And once you do that, once you achieve something in this life, once you start doing things and patting yourself on the back and saying, yes, I got this, life is completely different.
Absolutely, man. Of all the different issues that you just brought up, or even some that are outside of it, you talked about mental health, you talked about physical health. We could talk about the economy. We could talk about crime. We could talk. There's a lot of different things that are going on. There's ways that the Western world in general, including the USA, there's aspects in which it is moving forward and things are a lot better now than they were 50 years ago. But there are also other metrics, both tangible and intangible, where it's very clear that we are declining or regressing. Out of all those issues, which one do you find the most troubling?
For the first time ever, life expectancy is going down.
Dropping. Exactly.
And a lot of people don't realize this. They think, oh, yeah, there's too many people in this world. We got to depopulate them. That's not true at all. But what I find most troubling is mental health.
Okay.
And I think a lot of it is correlated with the gut, because if you have someone that doesn't have a gut that's running optimally, that is filled with seed oils, that is filled with high fructose corn syrup, that is filled with antibiotics that rob you of having a good, proper gut biome, your gut doesn't produce the right brain chemicals for your brain to run optimally. And to run in a good way. When you have people who are so negatively affected through their health, their mental health is the biggest aspect of it that kind of perpetrates and continues them in this larger loop of self-destruction,
Yes.
of hating themselves, not liking themselves, of not having any respect for themselves. And again, that's where the system wants you. And this is why I've throughout the last few years that I'm like, I started to take my own health seriously because I didn't for so long. You know, I used to smoke, I used to drink, I used to party, I used to travel over the world and just live a very reckless life. And I didn't really have much respect for my physical body. If you don't have respect for your physical body, you don't have respect for anything. So I think now being on this kind of larger health journey and again, I'm not perfect. I have cheat days too, and I mess up sometimes as well. But that's a part of not taking things too seriously, but also just following on my trajectory.
Yes.
You know, I might mess up 80-20. I might mess up sometime, but I'm going to still keep going in this direction. I'm still going to go to the gym. I'm still going to try to fast. I'm still going to try to supplement. I'm still going to, you know, do everything I need to do to move forward in a positive light and direction.
I think a big issue that's happening is that I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the sort of worship of science and scientism, or if it's just forgetting a lot of things that we've known for thousands of years. But something I've noticed in the West is that lots of problems are spoken about as if they're completely isolated from one another. So talking about just health, right? Lots of the way people speak about mental health and physical health and spiritual health, and you could even say economic health and familial health, social health, they're all spoken about as if they're not interrelated, right? So people talk about mental health as if it's completely separate from physical health, which is absolutely not, right? Like they are strongly intertwined. I'd add in spiritual health, right? You add in the family, you add in the situation with the economy and everything. It's like all of these things are strongly connected. And sometimes they're spoken about quite seriously in isolation, right? Okay, cool. Let's have a conversation about the economy, right? We're both guys who are into Bitcoin. Let's talk about the money printer and let's talk about inflation and let's talk about this and this and this. But it's like, okay, well, what are the ramifications on that on family formation and family maintenance and men and women coupling up and getting married, having children, being able to afford children, being able to buy a house, all of these things. Okay, and now how is that related to how does the food that people are eating or not eating integrate into that? How does that, okay, what's the effect on, you know, family situations affect mental well-being? People's relationship with God or spirituality affects their mental well-being. The food you're eating affects your mental well. And it's like, they're all just spoken as, I would look, just take this pill. Just take this pill, right? Just have this
the
thing.
Quick and easy way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, I don't know, someone wants, you know, let's take an obvious problem in the USA, which always makes international news when it happens, right? The sort of mass shooting situations, the mass shooters, the school shootings, that kind of things. And it's like, you know, why is this happening? Da, da, da. All of the conversation is about firearms. It's all about guns. There's no conversation about, okay, what...
SSRIs, mental health.
Yes, like the family, right?
Yep.
What kind of families are there?
Was there a father in this kid's life?
Was there a father? Like, what was it? And it's just, the conversations are so narrow. It's like, I'm like, how many times is this same situation going to happen? And you have the same stupid conversation about how many bullets should be allowed in a magazine, or whether, you know, this gun should be like they're there talking about AR-15s. Something happened with a pistol, and they're there talking about, you know, AR-15s. By the way, similar thing happens in the UK, but in the UK it's just with knives. Yep. Right? In the UK, the conversation is about, man, do we need to make it harder to buy knives, or maybe you should only allow like blade lengths up to a certain. I'm like, guys. When are we going to have this serious conversation about like absent fathers? When are we going to have a serious conversation about some of the aspects in the culture and the way that people are being programmed in a way that they don't value human lives? What are we going to have a serious conversation about young men feeling a lack of purpose and meaning and a lack of guidance? When are we going to talk about the type of situation that you lived through going to that type of school that you went through in New York City, right? What made that kid become a bully? What was he going through in the home that made him become a bully? And now this is being passed on. Like, those conversations are not happening on any serious level. It's just like the problem manifests in the most horrible way possible. And then suddenly everyone's scratching their heads like, oh, like how did this happen? This just fell out the sky. And it's like, no, it didn't fall out the sky. A mental health crisis didn't fall out the sky. A fentanyl crisis didn't fall out the sky. Rises in violence and crime, like whatever the things that people are concerned about. The obesity. Obesity is up to 40% now in this nation, right? It used to be under 5%. In under 100 years, you've gone from under 5% to 40%. And it's like, is this all just by magic, or is it like, can we have this conversation?
Nope, you sure can't, because there's a calendar out there that has some spicy stuff on it, and we got to discuss that, and that's it. Yeah. But no, the points that you brought up are very important here, because if you really wanted to stop a lot of this, we would be having a conversation about big pharma and their overprescription of antidepressants. We would be talking about SSRIs. We would even be talking about antibiotics that also are overprescribed, overused here in the United States. Again, great thing when you need them, saved so many people's lives, but overprescribed, overused here in the United States, where now there's like antibiotic-resistant strains of bacteria out there that are absolutely dangerous and wreaking havoc on local hospitals. Single-parent households, another really important issue that we should be having an adult, serious conversation about.
And by the way, it's important for people to know that the USA is number one in both of those things. USA has the highest percentage of the population on antidepressants in the world. And the USA, at least amongst developed countries, but I believe amongst every single country in the world, has the highest rate.
Especially amongst
growing
white,
up in single parenthood.
Especially when it comes to white women, their use of antidepressants
like
through the roof, and that's just absolutely terrifying when you learn about how people are just being kind of zapped and being zapped. And again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not here telling you what to do. For some people, it does help, but
this is a reason I'm interrupting there is because I think that's also part of the problem. The idea that you have to have a PhD or a doctor to connect dots or to ask questions. It's like you don't need to be a medical doctor to look at it and go, wait, how is 1 in 4 people on this group on antidepressants? Like, okay, that's kind of gnarly. You look at another country and it's 1 in 100, and then you look here and it's like 1 in 4. It's like, okay, there's something going on here. This is not normal. You could even just look back. Okay, what was the number 30, 40 years ago? I actually looked at this just today. I think since someone can fact check me on this, but I think between 1988 and 2010, the usage rates of antidepressants in the USA tripled within that time frame. Tripled. Yeah. So 1988 to 2010. I don't know what the numbers are now in 2024, but I won't know every single reason for that. But I can certainly be like, okay, that's weird. Yeah. That's strange.
It's almost as if our government has been hijacked by special interest groups that are going to be doing anything and everything just to make a killing.
Never.
Literally and figuratively. It's almost as if maybe that's happening right now, and the government is not working on our behests. So I agree with your sentiment, but I also know other individuals who have used it who do say, hey, this helped me a lot. But the conversation needs to be started, because it is overprescribed, it is overused, and people are being zombified in very horrible ways, where it becomes very destructive for them to have any kind of relationship that is wholesome or that is reciprocal in any way. To speak on this larger kind of problem that you brought up, it even becomes more sinister than that when you look up the kind of corporate media coverage of these kind of mass shooting events, because there have been psychological studies showing specifically when you show the shooter's face, when you make it about them, you glorify them and you inspire other people to do the same. And I've been saying this from the very beginning, and other content creators have been saying this too, saying, hey, let's stop glorifying these guys. Let's stop putting their names out there. Let's stop making them infamous, because we're only going to create copycat-like incidences, and the corporate media never learns, and they keep doing it again and again and again. When it's a sports ball game, whenever they have someone run on stage and run on the court, they made it an issue that they're never going to be showing them, because it's going to get other people to do the same thing. Why don't we do that for mass shootings? It shouldn't be a government thing. It should be a moral thing. It should be an ethical thing. But we should be focusing more on the victims. We should be having more deeper conversations about the issues that actually spurred this on. Yes. And this is why I brought up fatherless homes and SSRIs. and the big pharma involvement here, because to me, you really want to stop this. You address that. You don't punish someone because of someone else's actions. You don't take something away because someone else has it, that because someone else did something bad. That makes no kind of logical sense at all. And I recently saw a meme of a SWAT team breaking down someone's door and then telling a woman that they have to take her car because someone was in a car accident down the street from them. That kind of logic doesn't make sense. You can't punish law-abiding innocent civilians that didn't do anything wrong when you're a part of a government that perpetrates this problem, and then a part of a corporate media system that incentivizes it and promotes it so it happens again and again and again. So there's a lot of real life issues that we should be addressing that is just on a micro level. But I think the larger kind of bigger problem than just mass shootings. Mass shootings, everyone likes to talk about them because they're sensationalistic. They're something that the corporate media loves to talk about. They get everyone's attention because of all the trauma, because of all the kind of psychological aspects of this. But the larger issue at hand is the larger fertility crisis that's happening. That is absolutely huge. That absolutely is going to lead to more devastation, more pain, more suffering than any of these mass shootings. So if you look at males and especially babies when they're being born right now, we have to be careful with the language here, but they're being born with smaller and smaller reproductive organs. Males on average are being found to have less and less sperm, being less and
1%
less fertile. They're finding microplastics in people's blood and in people's lungs. They're finding men who are becoming more and more effeminized. They're finding people whose hormones are absolutely disrupted. And then the whole Medical Science Institute kind of scratches their head like, oh, we don't know what's going on here. I think the people are finding out what's going on here. A lot of them are finding it too late, as there's new studies highlighting how 1 in 4 couples are having a hard time conceiving a baby. Those are tragic, devastating numbers that are going to be absolutely brutal on the future of this country. And along with Elon Musk, I agree with him. We are dealing with a population crisis that's going to be severe. It's going to be very troubling, and it's going to lead to the utter destruction of civilization. Unless we start fixing it now, unless we start having real conversations about it now, there's no going back to us being fully depopulated. And that's terrifying. And that, to me, should be what we should be raising the alarm bells. That's what we should be discussing. That's the main issue that we should be addressing, especially as males growing up here. Check your testosterone levels, get your blood tested, make sure that you're not being zapped by forever chemicals, all these plastics and all these other hormone disruptors that are all around you. They're in your underwear, they're in your pants, they're in your cooking wear, they're in your furniture, they're in your car, they're in your food, they're everywhere. Now, I'm like trying to make sure I don't become too paranoid. But how can you not become too paranoid when almost everything here is filled with a lot of bad stuff that kind of leads into you losing your fertility, you losing your kind of power and energy for life?